Welcome back to the third and the fifth game of the battle for Sector 139. We have been joined by Derek, Ian, Ed and Alex. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Great to see you back.
Yep. Good to be back.
Good. I'm really excited for this last game. You've put some effort in for this campaign, haven't you?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of effort. And it really does show. So we've come from Newcastle again this morning.
Yep.
Staying over tonight. Is it near where we are? Near Peterborough, near Huntingdon somewhere?
10 miles away, I think.
Oh,
pretty close. Close enough. Yeah.
So we're near the dizzy heights of Huntingdon on a Saturday night, which is very exciting, and then we'll finish the rest of the game off tomorrow. So a 2-day extravaganza for you gents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pleasure.
It'd be nice not to rush for once.
Yeah, because let's not forget that the previous 4 games that we filmed, you've come down in a day, filmed the games and gone back the same day. So that's really intense.
That's all on Ed's driving.
Yes. Good man. Good man. Well, these gents have been absolutely furiously painting extra units to bring you this massive 4K side of Zone Mortalis. And gents, you haven't disappointed. You've got some amazing units. I think we're going to talk about the units first. So should we start with the traitors? Alex, what have you got for us?
Another Contemptor.
Yes.
Exactly the same loadout as my other one. And then, of course, the Leviathan. So, with a Storm Cannon and a Siege Claw.
Very nice. Ed?
I've stuck to my plasma theme and added more plasma combi Terminators with Wesley weapons.
Much plasma.
And Deradeo with the Hellfire Plasma Cannon.
Of course.
Because why not blast templates with Zone Mortalis?
That is rough. Derek, what have you got?
I've gone with a unit of 9 Deathsworn and a Speak for the Dead.
Brilliant.
And I've got a unit of 5 Cataphractii Terminators, 1 with an Assault Cannon, and a Leviathan Dreadnought with the Plasma Cannonade. Grav Bombard, yeah, sorry.
Stolen
Too much plasma from over there.
You wish you had the Plasma Cannonade.
That's fine, I'll keep my Graflux Bombard.
And these have all been sort of freshly painted up since the last time we saw you, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think a couple of you finished quicker than others, is that right?
I just finished the other night, so...
And Derek, I think you and Alex...
Yeah, me and Alex have been finished for about 2 or 3 weeks.
It's a nice smug feeling, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah. I hate painting stuff weeks before. I just don't bring it. I go, oh, I'm not going to achieve it. I'll never bring it. So, those forces that we saw in the previous games have really been expanded. This is the first time we've used Leviathans in Zone Mortalis as well. My personal opinion is that 2,000 points, they're really, really keen, I think. But we're at 4K aside, so I think we've got a bit of leeway in there. And you've all got units to deal with them, haven't you?
Yes. There's a lot of melter bombs running around.
A lot of things to deal with them.
They're still horrible, though.
Yes.
Oh, God.
That's why we gave each other 1 aside.
Yeah, they're pretty rough. We're now going to hand over to Derek, because Derek is going to give us all the nitty-gritty from the previous games and bring us up to speed. So if you haven't seen the previous 4 games, please go back and watch them. They are a fantastic 4 games, I think. I think they're brilliant. Been really, really popular on the channel. So this is to round that series off. So Derek, tell us all about it.
So the way it stands at the moment is the Traitors are presently on 26 campaign points and the Loyalists presently on 18 campaign points after the previous 4 games. So the scenario for this game, which is the battle for Hangar 18, Sector 218. And what's happened is all of those cargo crates have been shipped off to the servitor control areas, and the forces will be fighting over the servitor controls to load the ships to get them out to orbit.
Yes.
So instead of fighting for the actual stockpiles of caches, we'll be actually fighting over Pacific consoles that will be controlling those supplies to get them off-world. So as per the previous scenario, each of those consoles will be worth 2 victory points for the actual game, and then once the game is won, each of those will translate in addition to the War of Lies. So you'll make X number of War of Lies rolls determined on how many objective markers you actually hold.
Yeah.
And we still have in play the points per unit killed, and obviously our Warlord kills as well.
Yeah, so there is a ton of points to play for.
Yeah.
So,
and lose.
Yeah, well, that's true. But either side could still win.
Quiet on that one, Derek.
Yeah, the rolls were pretty bad last time, weren't they?
And the time before.
So either side could still win because of the points available. So there is tons. But also as well, there is not going to be 4,000 points aside deployed either side of the battlefield, are they?
No, there is not.
You spent a ton of points. You've got 9 stratagem points each, and you've gone for a lot of the interdiction assault, the flanking counter assault, which will bring those units in. So we'll get to a position where stuff will come behind stuff or in front of stuff, and I think it's going to be crowded. But I also think as well, a lot of stuff will die very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then it will be about that struggle towards the end to get those points. I think it's going to be quite. I
think it's going to start slow, but turn 3, turn 4, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yes.
It's going to be close. It's going to be nasty. The board is stunning and tight.
Yeah, I think all of you have got to be really careful, particularly with your facings of your dreadnoughts, because you'll face off against a formidable opponent, but then stuff can come out of the ground and take you in the back, can't they? It's going to be really tricky. But also we've got some new markers as well. Let's talk about these. So
the markers, David, flash a picture.
Oh yes,
will be the cargo control consoles, and they're what we're going to be fighting over for this game. So, as previously mentioned, they are 2 victory points each, and then they will translate into campaign points once the game is won or lost.
Yes, so please have a look at those. And I can't remember what set they're from. They're from the Barricade set.
Yeah, the Necromunda Barricades and Bulkheads.
They're really, really cool. They're a really great job. Yeah. And you've painted them up really, they look fantastic. All the details on the screen and the buttons and the knobs are all a bit glowy, so it's really cool. Gents, any final words to add before we get into your lists?
Don't roll 6s on more lives.
Well, you know what?
Please roll 6s on more lives.
I cannot be held accountable for the dice rolls.
Anything from the traitors?
I still hate apothecaries.
Yes.
I mean, that's reasonable.
Yeah, you had a bit of a rough time, didn't you? Last game.
I've had rough times in our test games as well. Awful unit.
You need some sniping units and get precision shots and take them out. But
he did.
Okay. Didn't know. This is shaping up to be one hell of a finale. We're going to go in, we're going to detail the new units that we haven't seen, and then we're just going to go over the entire list as a whole to give out all the warlord traits and everything else. And then we'll see at the beginning of turn 1.
1,999 points of 8th Legion Night Lords, led by Praetor Aztoth Nile with the Child of Terror Warlord trait, using the Zone Mortalis Attacker Force organisation and running the Zone Mortalis Assault Force Rite of War. The 2 new additions to my Night Lords force to bring it up to 2k are a second unit of identical 5-man Terminators wearing Tartarus Terminator armour. The Sergeant has a Nostraman Chainglaive and a Combi Plasma. The squad has 3 Combi Plasmas, 1 Plasma Blaster, 2 Lightning Claws and 2 Chain Fists. The only heavy support choice of my army is a Deredeo Dreadnought, Bath Morrigan. In line with the Legion Commander's obvious favouring of plasma weaponry, and with nothing left to lose from restraint in this final battle, he comes equipped with a Hellfire Plasma Cannonade, Alos Missile Pod, and Twin-Linked Heavy Bolter.
2,000 points of Death Guard running the Reaping Rite of War. They are led by Praetor Matthias Tide with the Master Tactician Warlord trait, and they are using the Defender Zone Mortalis Force Organisation chart. New additions for the Death Guard is a 2nd Quartus Class Dreadnought, who will be joining my original Quartus Class to form a Talon. Ikkan Renan is armed with a Carey's Pattern Assault Cannon and a close combat weapon with Heavy Flamer. He has extra armour and chem munitions. Also joining him for the heavy support choice is a Leviathan Siege Dreadnought, Guy Essen. He is armed with a Storm Cannon, a Siege Drill and 2 Heavy Flamers with chem munitions. He also has Armoured Ceramite.
2,000 points Imperial Fists, using the Stone Gauntlet Rite of War, the Zone Mortalis Defenders Force Organisation chart, led by Praetor Castellan Uraltus, with the Child of Terror Warlord trait. In addition to the Imperial Fist Stone Gauntlet is a Cataphracti squad of Terminators, one of which is armed with an illustrious assault cannon, and a Leviathan Dreadnought, Castellius the Unyielding, armed with a Siege Drill, 2 Twin-Linked Volkite Calivers, and a Grav Flux Bombard.
1,996 points of Space Wolves, led by Thane Eric Skullcrusher, using the Zone Mortalis Defender Force Organisation chart, and the Rite of War is the Blooded Claws. Ulfric Skullcrusher has the Void Hunter as his Warlord trait, which qualifies him to have Rage when on the charge and Feel No Pain whilst in combat. The additional 500 points for the Space Wolves has been spent on a unit of 9 Deathsworn. One model has been equipped with a Power Fist. The entire unit has been equipped with Melter Bombs and their Jägermar Stasis Bombs. The Speaker for the Dead will be joining that unit as a bodyguard for him. He is equipped with a Great Frost weapon, Melter Bombs and Artificer Armour. A third Apothecary will be joining the Apothecarian unit, and 2 Legion Voxillas, 1 for each of the Space Wolf Grey Slayer units.
Gentlemen, this is it. The final showdown between the Space Wolves Imperial Fist versus the Night Lords and Death Guards. There's a lot of stuff to talk about at the moment. So who's going first of all?
Loyalists.
Great stuff. And tell me a little bit about your stratagems.
So the Space Wolves have taken counting flanker assault 3 times. And the
I've
Imperial
got
Fists.
some barricades and a Fire Wasp.
Great stuff. And are the doors open or closed to you?
They're close to us at the moment because the last few games the traitors have managed to get the upper hand on the door controls.
That's right.
So we're going to have to breach through them while they have control of them.
So the traitors will be able to open D3 doors per turn plus the any door control consoles they actually get control of.
Great stuff. And traitors, tell me a little bit about your stratagem points.
So we've pooled ours, so we're playing a bit more together. I've got 3 interdiction assaults, a barricade, and a counter flanking assault. Thank you.
Good stuff. All right, so the Loyalists are going first. Traitors, you're not going to seize, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, well, let's have some friendly handshakes all round. Good stuff.
Loyalist, turn 1.
Loyalists turn 1 movement. The first of the 2 Grey Slayer units is making quick pace up the corridor towards the breaching area to get to the main hangar. They are backed up by the first unit of breachers. The warders are holding the back line in preparation for any flanking assaults that might come from behind, and they are backed up by their Terminator command squad. The second unit of Grey Slayers at the centre of the table is moving up quite swiftly. They are supported by the Imperial Fist Leviathan Dreadnought. The Space Wolf Contemptor is making its first beeline straight towards the double door there in an attempt to breach and make way for both the Volkite Tactical Support Squad and the second unit of breachers. And the Terminator squad is moving up, a bit slow on their difficult terrain test, but they are pushing up towards the cover and in preparation to start moving around to that objective around the corner. And the Fire Wasp has just moved up to support them a little bit and deny the back area because that's still part of our deployment zone and we don't want anything surprise to come from behind and take out those Terminators before they can get into a firing position.
Loyalist shooting phase, turn 1. The Slayer unit on the right flank has managed to run up to the barricade in preparation to assault the doors in the assault phase. The Slayer unit in the middle has managed to also run up to the doors, ready to break through it. The Leviathan took a shot with its melter gun to the door on its right-hand side, scoring a hit and actually destroying the door, but the cover from the barricades managed to get in the way, nullifying that dice roll. The Contemptor Dreadnought on the left flank has managed to breach open the door from the bulkhead with its Carey's assault cannon, and the Volkite squad have moved up in a better position.
Loyalists turn 1 assault phase. The unit of Grey Slayers managed to charge the door and, clamping their melter bomb firmly in place, detonated and have breached the main hangar area. Unfortunately, the second unit of Slayers only rolled a 3 to their charge. Unfortunately, -2 for the cover and -1 because they ran as part of the Grey Slayer Warriors metal rule mean they failed to charge a door standing right in front of them.
Traitors turn 1 movement. With the stratagems, we've placed our Interdiction Assault. I've gone for a heavy strong arm on one flank, and we've placed all 3 hatches on the centre landing pad, hoping that next turn our reserves come in and get lots of plasma off in a big volley. With our campaign lead advantage, we opened 1 door, and the rest of the units either moved into a more defensive position, waiting for the loyalists to come from behind, or moved forward, ready to counter the incoming loyalists. The Death Guard destroyer unit managed to get a great leap forward, owing to their Reaping Rite of War ignoring dangerous terrain cover checks and allowing them to get 12 inches right up the board, getting them in a fantastic position turn 1.
Traitors turn 1 shooting. The Derrideo has run and used his movement to align himself back to back with his Leviathan battle brother. The Vorax have used their run movement to march up the flank towards the doors, closely supported by the Night Lord's Quartus Contemptor. The Death Guard have done very little. Due to their reaping, they're unable to run, and there was no point opening a door in front of the Contemptors this turn.
Loyalists turn 2 reserves. Coming on from reserves, we have the 9-man unit of Grey Slayers and the Speaker for the Dead, who have done their outflank behind the heavy rocket launchers there. The unit of Seekers have arrived and decided to take some cover before moving around and taking their favoured target of the command squad. And the unit of Scouts have advanced and just managed to squeeze onto the board there in preparation to open that door and hopefully open fire with their shotguns at point-blank range.
Loyalist turn 2 movement. The Slayer unit on the right flank has moved up through the door that was breached last turn, followed by the unit of Breachers moving up the corridor to support them. The unit of Slayers in the middle has moved up over the barricade, ready to move through the door once the door's been breached by the Leviathan, which has also moved up. Over the left-hand flank, the Contemptor Dreadnought has moved through the breach, allowing the Imperial Fist Volkite squad and Breacher squad to move up to support it. And finally, the Terminator squad on the left-hand flank has managed to move up past the barricade, ready to engage the next turn.
End of the Loyalist turn 2. The missile unit, using their augury scanner, opens up on the Deathsworn, taking 7 shots, hitting with 5 wounds, resulting in 1 death.
Loyalists turn to shooting. The Leviathan Dreadnought opened up with its melter gun, breaching the door for the Grey Slayer unit, who then promptly, using the breach, ran through, rolling a 6, combined with their Hunter's Gate special rule, allowing them to move a whopping 7 inches, piling straight into the hangar bay in preparation for assaults in the coming turns. The Deathsworn threw their Jägermar stasis bomb at the heavy support squad. Unfortunately, the grenade missed and scattered off the table. They then opened fire with their remaining bolt pistols, inflicting 3 hits, 2 wounds, 1 of which was fell, resulting in 1 trooper dead. The Volkite Tactical Support Squad from the Imperial Fists managed a run move, just breaching themselves onto the actual hangar bay itself. The Contemptor, being out of range of any viable targets, made a run move of 5 inches, making itself onto the platform, barging through the barrels. The Grey Slayer unit have pushed out in preparation to get a long bomb charge off onto the destroyers on hiding behind the container. And the Scout Reconnaissance Squad, yet again showing their mettle, opened up with 10 shots with their combat shotguns, landing 8 of them, and 2 of which managed to glance, inflicting 2 hull points onto the Quartus Contemptor. Loyalists turned to assault. The Grey Slayers attempted to charge the destroyers. They required a 7-inch charge. Unfortunately, they failed their charge. The reaction fire from the destroyers managed to hit twice and wound twice, but unfortunately didn't inflict any casualties upon the unit.
Turn to Traitor's reserves. Using the interdiction assault hatches, 2 of the Night Lord's Terminator squads have popped up, and the Death Guard, utilising their allies' stratagems, have dropped their Grave Wardens, making a very strong breach into the centre of the board. Holding 2 command nodes and our campaign leader's advantage, we've opened 3 doors, allowing our line of sight and our options to be much wider. On the rear of the board, the Night Lord's Seekers have popped up behind the Space Wolf Death Sworn, because that is one horrible unit and we need to throw everything we can against him.
Traitors turn to movement. The Death Guard Heavy Missile Squad has moved up round the corner to take the objective. Unfortunately, the tail end is still poking out towards the Death Sworn, but the Tactical Squad has moved out through the door to block their advance, hopefully keep them pinned down for a bit. The 2 Contemptors for the Death Guard have moved up through the door, get some line of sight up onto the landing pad. The Night Lord's Contemptor remains still so we could keep control of the doors next turn. The Destroyer unit for the Death Guard has used their jump packs to jump up onto the platform, get some line of sight onto the Volkite Cavaliers. The Death Guard Leviathan has moved 6 inches up through the door, allowing the Derideo to move up behind in support. The Heavy Bolter Squad has remained still on the objective, while the Night Lord's Command Squad has shuffled back out of range of the Space Wolf Seekers. The Night Lord's Contemptor has moved towards the Scout Squad, hope to take some of them out with his plasma next turn, and the Vorax has moved up towards the door, hopefully to destroy it in the charge phase.
Traitors turn to shooting phase. The Night Lord's Contemptor Sau Harkonnen has opened up in retaliation at the Space Wolf Scout unit that shotgunned him in the back. With his 2 plasma blasters, he scored 4 hits and managed to kill 3 of them. His next intention is to charge into them. The Night Lord's Derideo Bathmordigan opened up as well against the Space Wolf Scout Squad with its Aeolus missile launcher. It killed a further 1 scout, however Derek successfully passed his leadership test. With its plasma cannonade, it is unfortunately blocked line of sight by the Leviathan, and it is not worth shooting. The Night Lord Terminator squad that came out of the hatch opened up with all its plasma onto the Imperial Fist Cataphractii Terminators. With a volley of shots, several overheats, none thankfully died, and I managed to kill 2 of the Loyalists. The second Night Lord's Terminator squad to arrive out of the interdiction hatches used its combi bolters to fire at the Imperial Fist Volkite Tactical Support Squad. Due to them not having void-hardened armour, I was hoping for a few rends. Unfortunately, I only managed to kill 1 of them. This is not quite what I wanted. The Night Lord's Vorax attempted to take out the door in front of them with their lightning cannons, however, unfortunately failed in the endeavour, but they will be assaulting it. The Death Guard Leviathan opened up with its Storm Frag Cannon into the oncoming Space Wolf Greyslayer pack. With a few hits, unfortunately, due to the combat shields and apothecary, no Greyslayers were felled.
The Death Guard Grave Wardens have opened up onto the Space Wolf Greyslayer pack, managing to get 56 hits with their assault grenade launchers, scoring 51 wounds, of which 7 were failed and 7 dead Greyslayers. Unfortunately, the Space Wolves then passed their pinning check and their leadership check. The Death Guard Quartus Contemptors then opened up with their Carey's assault cannons onto the Space Wolf Contemptor, managing to score 8 hits, but failing to penetrate or glance with any of them. To rid ourselves of the nastiness that is the Death Swarm, the Tactical Squad and Night Lord Seeker Squad both opened up on the unit. The Tactical Squad took 4 shots, managing to wound 3 times, but all 3 were saved. The Seeker Squad then opened up with their bolters and managing to fell 1 of them.
Traitors turned to assault phase. The Vorax assaulted the door in front of them, and with their smash attacks, just luckily managed to bring it down. And Sau Harkonnen charged into the lone Space Wolf Scout remaining, failed his Hammer of Wrath attack, but with his dual Dreadnought close combat weapons, turned him into pulp. He then rolled his consolidate and got a very healthy 6.
Loyalist, turn 3, movement. At the beginning of the turn, the Imperial Fists used the console to close one of the doors blocking the Deredeo from line of sight. The Speaker for the Dead has detached from the unit of Death Sworn. Looks like he's going to go after the tactical squad by himself, while the Death Sworn swarm around the Night Lord Seekers. Over on the Loyalist right flank, the Imperial Fists moved up to once again move into the breach, while across the hangar bay, the Space Wolves of Howl of the Death Wolf and proceeded to charge across the hangar bay with the Death Guard units in sight. The Leviathan has moved up to breach the gap to give support, while over on the left flank, both the unit of Volkite and the breaches have moved up. The Contempted Dreadnought, staring directly down into the Grave Wardens, ready to shoot and charge it. Meanwhile, at the rear, the Imperial Fist Terminator Command Squad has detached from its rear guard actions and have started moving up. The Fire Wasp and the Cataphracti Terminators on the left flank have also moved up with the intent to take on the Night Lord Terminator squads.
Loyalists, turn 3, shooting. The 2 packs of Slayers using Howl of the Death Wolf have made whopping run moves, both rolling 7 inches, piling on to the landing platform in preparation to charge their favoured targets. The Imperial Fist Command Squad have fallen back towards the actual battle, leaving the warders holding the backfield and the objective. The Leviathan Dreadnought has ran forwards in an attempt to get himself in a better fire position to bring some fire bear on those Voraks when they decide to show their face, or the enemy Leviathan when it shows its face. And the unit of breaches made a run move, getting over the barricade and getting themselves around that corner in preparation for stealing the objective in the coming turns. The Volkite Tactical Support Squad on the landing pad managed to make their move up.
With no target, the Fire Waspers ran in the shooting phase to get a better target next turn. The Cataphracti Terminators opened up into the Night Lord Tartarus Terminator squads, not doing any damage to them, however, as did the Volkite Support Squad, opened up onto the other Tartarus Terminator squad, not doing any damage.
The Venerable Contemptor Brightclaw opened up with its Heavy Flamer and its Carey's Assault Cannon, scoring 3 hits with a Heavy Flamer, no wounds, and firing its Assault Cannon landed 5 hits, wounding 4 times but killing 1, including the Grave Warden Master. The Space Wolf Speaker for the Dead opened fire with his bolt pistol, hitting once but failing to wound. The Death Guard Tactical Squad, the Death Sworn unit threw their Jägermar Stasis Bomb, hitting 4 models and killing 3 of the Night Lord Seeker unit. Loyalists turn 3, assault. The Death Sworn declared their charge. Reaction fire from the Seekers. They managed to land no hits after failing their reactionary fire roll. And unfortunately, one of the plasma guns overheated, killing one of the Marines, the Death Sworn making their charge quite easily. The Speaker for the Dead charging into the Tactical Squad. Again, they failed their reactionary fire test, leaving the Speaker for the Dead unhassled to charge in. The Imperial Fist Terminator Squad declared their charge. The Night Lords opened fire with their Plasma Blast Gun, hitting twice, wounding twice, and 2 dead. Unfortunately for the Night Lords, the Imperial Fist managed to make it into close combat. The Venerable Brightclaw managed to charge into the unit of Grave Wardens, successfully making its charge along with the Slayer unit. The Death Guard Destroyers failed their reactionary fire test and unfortunately landed 1 hit which failed to wound, and the Slayers managed to make a 5-inch charge, placing them well within combat range for the next round. Combat between the Death Sworn and the Lone Seeker. The Seeker was striking at initiative 4, unfortunately managed to fail to hit. The remaining Death Sworn managed to land 15 attacks and wound more times than required, wiping him out, and then making a whopping 6 inches on their consolidation, pushing it to 7 inches due to Hunter's Gate, with them being Space Wolves, pushing right round the corner and right into the enemy deployment zone. Striking at initiative 4 with the Speaker of the Dead versus the Death Guard Tactical Squad, he successfully managed to land and with 4 hits and killed 4 Marines with his AP2 weapon. The Death Guard returned their combat attacks with their 4 attacks. Unfortunately managed to hit once, but failed to wound. Despite losing the combat by 4, the Death Guard Tactical Squad successfully passed their leadership test. Both units moved their 3 inches, so they are all consolidating to combat for further rounds of combat.
Over at the combat between the Imperial Fist Cataphractii Terminator and the Night Lord's Tartarus Terminator, the Night Lord's Sergeant strikes in at initiative 4 with his chain glaive, causing 1 hit and 1 wound, but the thick Cataphractii armour protects the Terminator from the damage. The Tartarus with the Lightning Claws making 4 attacks against the Cataphractii armour, even with the talent for murder, managed to miss every single one of their attacks. The Imperial Fist Cataphractii strikes back with his Power Fist at initiative 1, causing 1 hit and 1 wound, but the invulnerable save from the Tartarus saved him from it. The 2 remaining Tartarus Night Lord Terminators attacked with their chain fists, causing 2 hits, cutting down the last remaining Cataphractii Terminator. After winning the combat, the Night Lord Tartarus Terminators consolidated 3 inches towards the objective.
Combat between the Grave Wardens and the Space Wolves Contemptor Dreadnought Brightclaw. He attacked with his 4 attacks, landing 3, wounding twice, and the Death Guard failed their invulnerable saves, killing 2. The Grey Slayers versus the Grave Wardens, combining their power sword attacks with their common attacks. 18 attacks go in, 12 of those hit, 8 of them wound, and unfortunately for the Death Guard, 2 wounds were inflicted, killing the remainder of the unit. After winning the combat, the Venerable Brightclaw rolled a 6 on his consolidation, moving towards the Terminator squad, and the Grey Slayers only rolled a 2, giving them a movement of 3 to reconsolidate and reorganize themselves. Space Wolf Grey Slayers versus the Death Guard Destroyers. Going at initiative step 4, the Grey Slayers armed with a standard close combat weapons with 15 attacks managed to land 8 and wounded 6 times, resulting in 2 casualties. The Power Sword then struck at initiative step 4. These were then tanked on the Sergeant with his 2+ Artificer save, managing to save all of the attacks from the Power Sword.
The Destroyers then swung back at initiative step 4, getting 20 attacks total. They scored 17 hits, and due to their rad grenades, reducing the toughness of the Space Wolves down by 1, managed to get 10 wounds, of which 2 were failed by the Space Wolves, resulting in 2 dead Space Wolves.
Continuing at initiative step 3, the Grey Slayer's Huskarl stepped up with his Great Frost weapon. With his 3 attacks, only managed to land 1. However, that attack managed to wound and kill the Destroyer Sergeant. Moving down to initiative step 1, the Grey Slayers stepped up with their axes and their power fists, with the combined effort landing 3 hits, of which the 3 were wounded at AP2, wiping the remainder of the squad. The Grey Slayers, after winning the combat, rolled a 6 for their consolidate, meaning they moved up to 7 inches around, so they've spread themselves out firmly on that landing pad and claiming that objective. Loyalist turn 3 roundup. What an amazing round that was. The Space Wolves successfully managing to destroy 2 of the Death Guard units and pushing firmly onto the landing pad, having their forces now amassing on the primary objective. Now that's all left is the retaliation from the traitor legions.
Traitors turn 3 movement. Once again, we have failed our reserve roll, so the last unit of Death Guard Heavy Flamers is not showing up, though it does mean they're guaranteed next turn. Doors, we opened one of the doors that the Loyalists shut last turn, and we have closed a door behind the ongoing combat with the Speaker for the Dead and the Death Guard Tactical Squad. The Night Lords Vorax and Contemptor Cortus that is still alive, albeit on 1 hull point, have moved forward into what is to be the kill box. The Deredeo shifted forward to get some fire angles, and every dreadnought in the near vicinity has moved up. We plan on focusing our fire on each unit in turn, hoping to maximize casualties. The Night Lords and Death Guards in the deployment zone have shuffled round, still trying to deal with these horrible Deathsworn that are panicking our rear. The Night Lord Terminators over by the landing pad. One unit that survived the combat last turn has positioned itself on the objective and is looking to shoot into the rear of the Imperial Fists. And the central unit has moved itself ready to react to whichever Space Wolf unit survives, and hopefully, with its plasma still burning hot in their hands, cause some casualties.
Traitors turn 3 shooting. The Death Guard heavy support squad with the missile launchers has opened up on the Space Wolf Contemptor. They shot 6 missiles and unfortunately failed to hit with any of them.
In the Traitors deployment zone, the Contemptor Mortis Clarada Nictu finally opens up with his dual carries, managing 9 hits and dropping 3 of the Deathsworn.
The Death Guard heavy bolter unit then opened up at the Deathsworn with 6 of the unit, firing a total of 18 shots, hitting with 15 of them, wounding with 10. Unfortunately, the Deathsworn made all of their saves. After the shooting was resolved against the Deathsworn, thanks to losing 3 of their unit, they had to make a leadership test, which was promptly failed. So the Deathsworn have run, very nearly running off the edge of the board, but not quite. Death Guard Contemptors opened up on the Space Wolf Grey Slayer pack. The first Contemptor rolled a Gets Hot on its flamer due to chem munitions, unfortunately failing its save, so taking a whole point. The Carries then opened up on the same pack, managing a number of hits and a number of wounds and killing 1. The second Contemptor then opened up with its flamer, also getting hot because of chem munitions, so having to make a save. Thankfully passed his save, so didn't take a whole point. The Carries then opened up on the Grey Slayer pack, unfortunately not getting any wounds at all. The Death Guard Leviathan then opened up onto the same Grey Slayer pack, first of all firing both of its flamers, which did not get hot, thankfully, killing 3 of the Grey Slayer pack. It then opened up with its Melter and its Storm Cannon, killing another 4.
The Night Lords Deredeo, finally with some sight on some targets, aimed its Hellfire Cannonade at the big blob of Imperial Fists down here, mainly targeting the Volkite support squad. However, as Alex and his Death Guard did, even with twin-linked, I managed to roll 2 1s, and so it overheated and failed to fire. However, I didn't cause a hull point to myself. With its Aeolus missile launcher and twin-linked heavy bolters, it did manage to kill 2 of the Volkite support squad, however. The Night Lords Tartarus Terminators opened up as well, conjoining their firepower into the Volkite support squad of the Imperial Fists, with their Plasma Blaster unfortunately managing to miss both its shots, thankfully not overheating, and all the bolters managing to cause 1 wound, however the Imperial Fists saved it. They then passed their leadership test for losing over 25% of their unit. The Night Lords Vorax then opened up onto the Space Wolves Grey Slayer pack at the forefront of the landing pad to them. With the combined shots of their lightning cannon and rotor cannons, they managed to down 3 of these space puppies. The Night Lords Terminators up on the landing pad opened up at the same Grey Slayers pack as the Vorax. Using their plasmas, they managed to hit 7 times, however with 2 overheats. I did luckily manage to save these, and I removed 4 of the Space Wolves from the pack. They did make their leadership check. Traitors Assault Phase, turn 3. Both Death Guard Contemptor Cortus Dreadnoughts charged into the same Space Wolf Grey Slayer pack, with their Hammer of Wraths managing to kill 1 of the Space Wolves on the way in. The Leviathan Dreadnought attempted the same charge, however failed to get up the step of the landing pad. The Night Lord Tartarus Terminators needed an 8-inch charge to get into the remaining Grey Slayer pack, and managed it on a whopping 12 inches. The other Terminator squad, aiming to maximise kill points and kill our first Imperial Fist unit, also needed a 6-inch charge into the Volkite squad, and made it on a 7. All overwatch from the Loyalist forces was ineffective against the armour of the Traitors' charge.
Combat between the Death Guard Tactical Squad and the Speaker for the Dead. At Initiative Step 4, the Speaker for the Dead swung with 4 attacks, hitting with 3 of them, and wounding and killing 3 outright. Also at Initiative Step 4, the Death Guard then retaliated with their 6 attacks, managing to hit 5 times, only wounding once, which was saved by the Speaker for the Dead. Due to the Death Guard losing combat, they rolled a leadership check, which they promptly failed, and were then run down and butchered by the Speaker of the Dead. The Speaker of the Dead then consolidated 2 inches, moving himself into cover. The Death Guard Contemptors started their combat with the Grey Slayer pack, managing to get 4 attacks each because of charging in, however only managing to hit once, staying consistent, and luckily managing to kill 1 Grey Slayer.
So at initiative step 1, the Huskarl tried clamping his Melter Bomb to the Contemptor but failed to hit. The Power Fist then tried to weigh in with his Power Fist attacks, missing both attacks. This resulted in a single casualty for the Grey Slayer unit, and then the Grey Slayers failed their leadership test and were promptly swept by the pair of Courteous Contemptors, wiping the unit from the table.
After winning combat, both of the Contemptor Dreadnoughts consolidated. The first one, with his fist raised, moved 3 inches, and the second moved 5 inches towards the Night Lord Terminators, hopefully going to take on the Wolf Contemptor and help him out a bit.
Combat between the Night Lord Terminator squad and the Imperial Fist Volkite support squad ended after the Night Lord's Terminator Sergeant single-handedly killed the 2 Imperial Fists. They then consolidated 3 inches away from the oncoming Imperial Fist breachers and back down onto the objective. The second Night Lord's Terminator squad against the remaining Grey Slayers. Once again, the Terminator Sergeant stepped up, issuing a challenge which was accepted by the medic of the group, and swiftly both were cut down by the chain glaive, and once again I managed to roll a 3 for consolidation. End of turn 3 summary. I'll not lie, after the end of our shooting phase, both me and Alex were very downhearted at the result of our combined firepower. However, thanks to a more than acceptable assault phase, the traitorous forces are in control of the landing pad and have nearly taken out all of the Space Wolf resistance.
Loyalist turn 4 movement. The Deathsworn, rallying after fleeing from their enemy in the last turn, have advanced back into the fight and take the fight to the enemy. Coming in from reserve, led by the Warlord, is a Flamer support squad, ready to take on those rocket launchers by the Death Guard. The Speaker for the Dead, moving out of cover, his eyes set on the Mortar's Dreadnought. The Seekers have advanced out of their cover to take aim at the Heavy Bolter support squad from the Death Guard. In the main hangar, the Imperial Fist Leviathan Dreadnought has moved up, looking at the Vorax. Its Grav Flux Bombard starting to pulse. The Breacher squad has moved out of cover, looking at the objective to secure it. Meanwhile, the Phalanx Waters have moved back again on the objective, securing that, but waiting for the inevitable Flamer squad in reserve to come on from the Death Guard. The Command squad has moved up to give support to the Breacher squad assaulting the landing platform, and the Breacher squad has moved up, now stuck in between 2 units of Tartarus Terminators on the Night Lords. The Contemptor, the Space Wolf Contemptor, staring down the Night Lords Tartarus Terminators. At the end of the movement, the Augury Scanner on the Death Guard Heavy Support Squad managed to get 2 of the rocket launchers to open fire onto the Flamer unit that came in from reserve, killing 1 of them.
Loyalists turn 4 shooting, starting with the Imperial Fist Leviathan with its Grav Flux Bombard targeting the Vorax. It opened up with a slight scatter, only managing to hit 2 of the models and only 1 of those 2 actually taking a wound. This was then followed by shots from the Volkite Cavaliers, inflicting 6 hits but unfortunately no wounds. Then finally, the Melter Gun from the Fist hit and wounded the front-running Vorax. The Imperial Fist Breacher squad then opened up with 2 Melter Gun shots, hitting once and wounding once, despite the cover save from the Leviathan. 4 bolt gun shots were followed next, which was 4 solid hits and 1 roll of a 6 for the Rend, which has killed the front-running Vorax. The Fire Wasp now engaging the Night Lord's Terminator squad, springing its trap, scoring 5 hits, only wounding 4 times. However, those 4 wounds translated into 1 dead trooper and the sergeant being killed from the flames. The Space Wolves Contemptor Dreadnought Brightclaw, targeting the Night Lord's Terminator squad with its heavy flamer, unfortunately not inflicting any wounds with his heavy flamer. Then opened up with his Carey's assault cannon, landing 6 hits, 5 wounds, one of which was rending, which has killed the plasma blast gun, and the others managed to pass their saving throws. This then resulted in a leadership test, which they failed on the roll of a 9, so they have fallen back 4 inches towards the table edge. The Imperial First Breacher unit then brought their weapons to bear on to the second unit of Night Lord Terminators, scoring 2 hits with the melter guns, but unfortunately failing to wound. And then, despite the ranked and fired bolter rounds, managing to land 7 hits and 6 wounds, the Terminators managed to successfully pass all of their saving throws. The Space Wolf Flamer unit decided to target the Heavy Weapons squad. Unfortunately, due to losing one of their flamers, only managing to get 3 hits with their flamers. This resulted in 3 hits but no wounds. The bolt pistols from 5 of the models that were in range then opened fire, landing 3 hits, scoring 2 wounds, and 1 failed armor save, results in 1 Death Guard missile launcher being killed. The Space Wolf Seeker squad moving out of their covered position and targeting the Death Guard Heavy Bolter squad, opening up there with their combi plasma guns, managing to land 9 hits, and managing to kill 5 of the Death Guard Heavy Bolters, including critically the Sergeant. Unfortunately, due to overheat, the squad lost 2 of its models to the overheating on the combi plasma guns. The Death Guard passed their leadership test on the roll of a 8, so quite lucky for those. The final action of the Loyalists' shooting phase is the Terminator Command Squad making a run move so that they can bring their banner to bear and make those breaches fearless due to the 6-inch bubble.
Loyalist Assault Phase, Turn 4. The Space Wolf Contemptor Dreadnought attempted to charge the fleeing Night Lord's Tartarus Terminators, causing them to make a leadership check to make sure they don't run off the table. They passed their leadership test, however the Contemptor failed his charge distance, as did the Fire Wasp, also making it cause a leadership test, which it passed. Over in the enemy deployment zone, the Speaker for the Dead attempted to charge the Mortis Contemptor, Night Lord Mortis Contemptor. The Mortis Contemptor opened up with its reaction fire, causing 7 wounds on it, but the Speaker for the Dead saved every single one of them. But once again, the Speaker for the Dead failed its charge. Meanwhile, the Imperial Fist Leviathan Dreadnought had a long charge of 9 inches against the Vorax, which made it. The reaction fire did nothing against it, and it's now ready to cause absolute havoc. The combat between the Leviathan and the Vorax, the Leviathan charged in, 2 Hammer of Wrath attacks, causing 1 wound from that. Its siege drill causing an additional wound, killing one of the Voraxes off. The Vorax attempted to make a smash attack back, but not scoring any hits against the Leviathan. The Praevian, with his Melter Bomb, also didn't get any hits against him, but because they're fearless, the combat continues on.
Traitor's Turn 4 movement. The Death Guard Praetor, Matthias Tide, has moved round ready to face off against the Space Wolf Speaker for the Dead. Before any of that happens, though, Clarada Niktu is taking his second chance at firing both his Careys into them. The Bolter squad that took heavy damage last turn from the Seekers has moved away from oncoming threats, supported by the reserves of the Death Guard coming on in the shape of the heavy support Flamer squad. Aztoth Nile and his Tartarus Command Squad have finally taken some action, and now the Space Wolf Seekers have spent their plasma. They are moving in to remove that threat. Over in the combat with the Leviathan, the Vorax are blocking the movement of the Night Lord Contemptor, but the Derideo has moved round, ready to fire his plasma into the stacked unit of Imperial Fist breaches. The Death Guard Leviathan, also seeing its chance, has moved round, spying the rear armour of the Imperial Fist counterpart. In the centre of the board, on the landing pad, the Night Lord's Terror Squad that was running away managed to rally and has skipped closer to the objective, hoping to drag some points from the face of their imminent demise. The Death Guard Contemptor Talon has moved up, again spying the rear armour of the Loyalist Space Wolf Contemptor, and is aiming to take them out. The other Night Lord's Terminator squad has moved backwards away from the Imperial Fist, but onto another objective. Traitor turn 4 shooting phase. The rallied Terminators squeezed off their snapshots against the Fire Wasp, however, due to the barricade, didn't manage to do any damage. Clarada Niktu eyed up the lone Speaker for the Dead, fired 12 times with his dual carries assault cannons, hit 11 times, caused 10 wounds, 1 rending, but only managed to cause a single wound on the Speaker for Dead. He is alive, but he's only on 1 wound. Also against the Space Wolf Speaker for the Dead, Matthias tied the Praetor and the Heavy Bolter squad of the Death Guard fired. They managed to hit 4 times combined, but managed to do no damage against his 2-up Artificer armor save. The Night Lord's Deradeo Beth Mordigan finally managed to successfully fire his Hellfire Cannonade, hitting the Breacher squad of the Imperial Fists, killing 3 with the plasma weaponry, with the Aeolus missiles and the Heavy Bolter managing to drag down another 1 of the Imperial Fists. The Night Lord Tartarus Terminator squad opened up against the Imperial Fist Breachers. They shot with their Plasma Blaster, managing 2 hits and killing 1, and the rest of the combined bolter fire dragged down another of the Imperial Fist Breachers. The Death Guard Contemptor Cortis, directly behind the enemy Space Wolf Dreadnought, opened fire with its Chem Munition Flamer, scoring a penetrating hit on the Space Wolf Dreadnought and managing to shake the enemy Dreadnought. Its Carey's Assault Cannon then managed to hit 4 times, caused 3 penetrating wounds, which were promptly 2 were saved by the Space Wolf. However, the one that went through caused it to lose its close combat weapon.
Traitors turn 4 assault phase. The Death Guard Contemptor directly behind the Space Wolf Contemptor made the short charge easily. The second Death Guard Contemptor managed a 5-inch charge into the Breacher squad with an ineffective overwatch. The Death Guard Praetor, Matthias Tide, then decided to charge into the Space Wolf Speaker for the Dead. The Speaker for the Dead overwatched with a unique item called the Garm Blood Vial, getting D3 hits, managing 2 hits, wounding once, but due to the unique Feel No Pain against poison attacks from the Reaping, Matthias Tide was able to make his Feel No Pain save against it. The Night Lord Tartarus Terminators then charged into the Seekers, making their short charge easily. The Death Guard Leviathan, sensing the opportunity to attack the rear of the Imperial Fist Leviathan, made a 7-inch charge into its rear. Combat between Matthias Tide and the Space Wolf Speaker of the Dead. Matthias Tide gets 6 attacks, needing 3s to hit, getting 4 hits. And then because of the rad grenades that Matthias Tide carries, the Space Wolf Speaker of the Dead's toughness is reduced by 1, so only needing 2s to wound, getting 2 wounds, which the Speaker of the Dead can now try and save.
So I will take these 2 saves on my refractor field. So 5 plus Invern, followed by 5 plus Feel No Pain. So 5 plus Invern's first, both failed. Feel No Pain, 1 failed, which is enough to fell him before he even gets to attack back with his Great Frost weapon.
Matthias Tide will now consolidate, and he will consolidate 1 inch.
Combat between Aztoth Nile's command squad and the Space Wolf Seekers ended with Aztoth Nile challenging the Seeker Sergeant and on his own wiping the squad. They then consolidated 4 inches. The Death Guard Leviathan charging into the rear of the Imperial Fist Leviathan. With his 2 Hammer of Wrath attacks, he caused 1 glancing hit. However, the 4-up Invulnerable held solid for the Imperial Fist and he made the save. With the Initiative 5 bonus of the Leviathan, Death Guard Leviathan, he managed to swing 4 times, hitting twice, getting 2 penetrating hits, but once again, the invulnerable save of the Imperial Fist Leviathan held strong.
Next up at Initiative 4 is Castellius the Unyielding, the Imperial Fist Leviathan. It was a bit of a tough decision on which unit to make his attacks against. Well, I decided to go against the Leviathan to see if I could crack the Death Guard Leviathan to see if I could take him out. Unfortunately, only causing 1 hit and 1 glance, which the automatic shielding saved.
The Night Lord Vorax and Pravian then took their turn. Initiative 4 for the Vorax. His smash attack missed the Leviathan Dreadnought. With the Melter Bombs on the Pravian Varka Xaviolon, he tried his 1 attack to clamp it on, and again missed. resulting in a drawn combat and everyone being pinned in place.
Combat between the Death Guard Contemptor and the Space Wolf Contemptor. Gaining 1 attack from the charge, the Death Guard Contemptor swung with 4 attacks, managing to get 1 glancing hit, which the Space Wolf failed, stripping the final hull point off and wrecking the vehicle. The Space Wolf Contemptor managed to swing back with 2 attacks, however failing to hit. Combat between the Death Guard Contemptor and the Imperial Fist Breacher Squad. On its charge in, the Death Guard Contemptor did its Hammer of Wrath attack, causing 1 wound, however the Imperial Fist saved it. It then gained 3 attacks because it loses its 1 from the charge due to the Breacher Shields, managing to get 2 wounds, but both were saved. At Initiative Step 1, the only member of the Breacher Squad that could hit back is the Sergeant with the Thunderhammer, getting 2 attacks, hitting once, but failing to make a dent in its armour. End of Traitors Turn 4, a basic overview of where we stand at the moment. We're actually not in a bad position at all. We're currently holding an objective on the landing pad. We're holding another objective over by the crane next to the landing pad, and a third one in our objective zone. We have plenty of units still on the board and are doing still a lot of damage to the Alliance forces, the Imperial forces that are left on the board.
Turn 5, the final turn for the game, Loyalists. The Breacher unit has fallen back to the objective to secure that for the end of the game. The Imperial Fist Praetor has detached himself from the unit and is going to make his way towards the Night Lord Terminator, so we've got the objective secured on the landing pad. The Phalanx Warders have mobbed up onto that objective, so it is definitely secure with no possible way of contesting it. The command squad from the Imperial Fists have moved up to support their brethren with the standard bubble of Fearless, and then hopefully potentially get a secondary charge onto those Terminators. Moving on to the Space Wolves, the Hull Burners, the tactical support squad with the Flamers, have moved up, and luckily one model can just see that squad despite Alex's attempts to hide around the corner, which means I should be able to charge them in the coming charge phase. And then finally the Death Sworn, having recovered from their devastating losses of their brethren, have come out from around the corner, committed themselves for one final aspect of a charge in an attempt to charge the heavy bolters before facing down the remainder of the entire Traitor army, charging forward as they scream for the Wolf King and the All-Father.
Loyalists, turn 5 shooting. The Breacher squad has decided to run to try and mitigate any damage coming from the Daredale Dreadnought, rolling a 2, but because of their void hardened armour, reducing it to 1 inch. So bursting out, trying to mitigate as much damage as possible. Meanwhile, the Fire Wasp on the left-hand flank had decided to incinerate the Terminators again, looking to get the same result from before, but causing no damage against the Terminators. Loyalist turn 5 assault phase. The Imperial Fist command squad in Tartarus armor needed a long charge against the Night Lord's Tartarus Terminators. They opened fired with their reaction fire, scoring 1 hit against the plasma, using the plasma blaster against the command squad, causing 1 wound on the banner bearer, but managed to make their charge in with a massive 11 inches. The Praetor also decided to attempt a charge it as well, but only scoring 4 inches, meaning he failed his charge. As a free stratagem point, the Fire Wasp also decided to charge the Night Lord's Tartarus Terminators on the left flank. Once failing their reaction fire though, scoring 1 hit from the Overwatch, causing a wound on the Fire Wasp, but the Fire Wasp still manages to get in and is going to cause as much damage as it possibly can before it gets taken out.
The Space Wolf Tactical Support Squad with the Flamers, the Hull Burners, successfully managed to make their charge against the Death Guard Heavy Weapons team, despite their reaction fire with bolt pistols, landing 2 hits and causing 1 wound on the unit, removing 1 model. They managed to make their charge with the roll of an 8 inches. The Death Sworn declared their charge against the Death Guard Heavy Bolters. The Heavy Bolters snap-fired with their Heavy Bolters as the Death Sworn charged in. They required a 7-inch charge, but unfortunately they only rolled a 4 on that charge, so it was a failed charge from the Wolves.
The existing combat between the Leviathans and the Vorax, the Imperial Fist Leviathan has struck 3 times with its crushing Siege Claw against the enemy Death Guard Leviathan, causing 3 hits and 3 penetrating hits, managing to rip one of the heavy flamers off. The Death Guard Leviathan's now left with 1 hull point left. The Death Guard Leviathan strikes back with his siege drill, causing 1 hit and 1 penetrating hit against Castellius the Unyielding, but his adamantic shielding protecting him from any damage. The Vorax attempted to smash attack against the Imperial Fist Leviathan, but it managed to miss its attack, causing no damage. The Praevian managed to get 1 hit with his Melter Bomb against him, against the Imperial Fist Leviathan, causing 1 glancing hit, but once again Castellius the Unyielding adamantic shielding saved it. Over at the combat with the Death Guard Dreadnought and the Imperial Fist Breaches, the Dreadnought makes its attacks, only scoring 1 hit, but definitely causing a wound. The Breacher's shield manages to protect him with his 5+ invulnerable save though. The attacks back from the Breacher's Sergeant with his Thunderhammer, causing 1 hit, but failing to get through the tough armour of the Dreadnought. The little Fire Wasp that could charge in against the Night Lord's Tartarus Terminators, unfortunately being cut down by one of their lightning claws. The Tartarus Terminators then advanced 2 inches towards the objective. The combat on the launch pad between the Imperial Fist Command Squad and the Night Lord's Terminator Squad. One of the Imperial Fist Chosen issues a challenge, which is accepted by the Night Lord Sergeant with the Chain Glaive. Striking at Initiative 4, the Night Lord's Terminator Sergeant with the Nostrum and Chain Glaive makes his attacks against the Chosen who has challenged him, scoring 1 hit but causing no wounds against the actual Imperial Fist. It's the same again at Initiative 4. The 2 Lightning Claws in the squad cause 2 hits and 2 wounds, but the Imperial Fist armor saves it. Returning attacks from in the challenge, the Imperial Fist Chosen strikes back against the Night Lord Sergeant. 2 of the attacks from the Thunderhammer hit, one of them protected by the invulnerable saves of the Night Lord Sergeant, however the other one getting through, crushing his skull beneath the head of the hammer. Meanwhile, the other Imperial Fist Chosen strikes back with his Thunderhammer at Initiative 1, causing 3 wounds against the Night Lord's Terminators, 2 of them managing to save against their invulnerable saves, but 1 more getting through, crushing the Terminator beneath its Thunderhammer. The Banner Bearer with his Power Axe makes his attacks causing 2 hits and only 1 wound, which was saved by the Terminator's invulnerable saves.
Also swinging at Initiative 1 are the Night Lords equipped with Chain Fists. They swung 4 times, causing 4 hits and 4 wounds. However, 3 of these were taken on the Imperial Fist Storm Shields. 1 did get through, killing the Terminator inside. With
an outstanding result, the Imperial Fist won that combat by 1, with the Night Lord's Terminator Sergeant dead, meaning the Terminators are reduced to leadership 7. The Night Lords failed their leadership by 1 and were wiped out by the Imperial Fist Command Squad. They've then consolidated back towards their lines to help reinforce them with the Fearless from the Banner Bearer.
The Space Wolf Tactical Support Squad attacking the Death Guard Heavy Weapons team with their 15 attacks at Initiative Step 4, managing to land 9 of them, causing a total of 8 wounds on the Death Guard. The Death Guard making their saving throws, only losing 1 to the Flurry of Blows from the Tactical Support Squad.
Also striking at Initiative Step 4, the Death Guard Heavy Support team strike back at the Space Wolf Support Squad, managing to get 6 attacks, hitting with 4 of them and wounding with 3. However, the Space Wolf Tactical Support Squad was able to save all 3 of them.
Elfric Skullcrusher at Initiative Step 1 steps up with his Thunderhammer, landing 5 hits and wounding 4 times, which with his Strength 8 and AP 2, wiping the Death Guard Heavy Weapons team out. The Space Wolf Tactical Support Squad, the Hall Burners, then make their advance 4 inches towards the objective.
Traitor's 5th and final turn of this entire campaign. The 2 remaining Night Lords Terminators have moved onto the objective. There's little they can do. I considered charging them into that Breacher squad as well. It would be high risk. If I remove some of the Breachers, I may then hold that objective and score my point. However, if the Breachers turn around and murder those Terminators, I not only lose a kill point for the Terminators, I lose the objective. The Death Guard Dreadnought that was free has moved over, seeking revenge against the Space Wolves Flamer squad that wiped out the Death Guard counterparts. And in the Traitors deployment zone, everything is swarming towards those Deathsworn who have caused nothing but trouble for us. In the centre of the board, the Night Lord Deredeo, who's moved into line of sight of the Imperial Fist Command Squad, hoping to peel off one last kill point for myself. And the Contemptor Cortus Dreadnought for the Night Lords has run away, not being able to get into the combat. And if there is a large explosion from any of those Leviathans, I don't want it to lose its last hull point. Traitors turn 5 shooting. The Night Lords Deredeo, Beth Mordigan, opened up with everything in its arsenal, finally able to do so after many turns of shuffling behind things, killing the remaining Imperial Fist Command Squad with its massive plasma array.
The Death Guard Heavy Support Flamer Squad opened up with their heavy flamers at the Deathsworn. One of them managed to get a gets hot rule because of its chem munitions and promptly killed itself. The other two managed to land 6 hits, getting 6 wounds, and luckily 2 of them were failed by the Deathsworn. The Death Guard Heavy Bolters then opened up with 6 shots against the Deathsworn, unfortunately only managing to hit 4 times, but failing to wound. Clarada Nictu, the Night Lord Contemptor Dreadnought, then opened up with 12 shots from its Carey's Pattern Assault Cannons, shredding the Deathsworn and killing the remaining 2 of them. The Death Guard Contemptor Itcan Renan opened up with his Heavy Flamer against the Space Wolf Support Squad, managing to get 5 hits, wounding with all 5 of them and killing 3. It then opened up with its Carey's Assault Cannon, managing to get 6 hits, wounding 3 of them, and unfortunately all but 1 was saved, so it killed another 1. Traitors turn 5 assault phase. The Death Guard Contemptor Itcan Renan attempted a long charge into the Space Wolf Tactical Support Squad, however failed, needing an 8 but only rolling a 7. Combat between the 2nd Death Guard Contemptor Ashkente and the Imperial Fist Breacher Squad. Both are apparently completely intimidated by each other. The Death Guard Contemptor swinging 3 times and managing to only hit once but failing to wound. The Sergeant with his Thunderhammer then swung back and missed both times. Okay, the epic combat between the Leviathan Dreadnoughts and the Vorax and Pravian. The Death Guard Leviathan swung with its Siege Drill, managing to get 1 penetrating hit. However, the Imperial Fist Leviathan saved it with its automatic shielding. The Imperial Fist Dreadnought then swung back with his Siege Drill, managing to get a penetrating hit as well. However, the Death Guard automatic shielding managed to save it. The Vorax then went in with a smash attack, but again, for the 4th time this fight, managed to miss. The Pravian, once again managing to get a hit with his Melter Bomb, strapped it down this time, getting a penetrating hit, managing to actually do a hull point and cause the Dreadnought to be immobilized. That's the end of Traitors Turn 5 and the end of the battle. Now it's on to totting up the victory points and the campaign points.
That was the final game for the battle for Sector 139, and I think you'll agree, 4K on that 6 before Zone Mortalis was a feast for the eyes.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of stuff killing stuff, and they moved in position, then killed other stuff from behind. It was just absolutely wild. So I think it was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Rock solid, down to the wire.
Especially those last couple of turns on
Yeah.
on the actual
Yeah.
Tiger Bay itself.
Ganking the last couple of models out of units.
Yeah, beautiful.
Some sneaky shots around corners and some crazy charges, but it worked really, really well. We're going to get straight into the victory points because there's a lot to do. You'll notice that I've got a computer this time because I've managed to mess up the scores for the last 3 games. So that's fantastic. So I've made a spreadsheet. It's a bit overkill, but it works. This game was really, really interesting. It ended up being a draw.
Nice.
Yes, yeah, it was pretty wild. So it's everything to play for. The Traitors captured 2 objectives. Congrats.
One objective.
Sorry, 1 objective, which got you 2 points.
That's right.
The Loyalists captured 3, which gave you 6.
Yep.
But the Traitors did an amazing job by causing 10 kills, and the Loyalists caused 6, which brought your final totals to 12 points each.
Right.
Woof, we're getting there. Bear with us. We then add those 12 points gained from this last game onto the campaign points, which Derek are...
So the campaign points presently stand at 38 to the traitors, and 30 to the loyalists,
Yeah.
with some cheeky War of Lie rolls.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So the traitors have got 1 roll on the War of Lies, and the loyalists have got 3.
Yeah.
The loyalists need to score high to catch up.
No sixes.
Yeah. So if you remember the last game, Ian rolled.
And the game before.
And the game before.
And the game
Every time he's rolled sixes, then sixes.
Yeah, it's not been good. So I'm going to poise my finger over my little formula I've made.
Shall we?
Go then.
Right, the first one.
Nothing.
Nothing.
And
Nothing.
it's better than -3.
And I will be getting 2.
Oh, God. So the final score for the loyalists is 32 points. The traitors already got it, but what do you come back with? Final score is 32 to the loyalists and 41 to the traitors.
As it should be.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, Derek,
Yes.
shall we talk about these little extra sneaky points that we've got?
Yes.
We've got some amazing trophies.
No expense spared.
No expense spared.
They are spectacular.
Amazon Express delivery for the second time.
Yeah. So let's remind ourselves, we've got Head Taker. So
Yep.
this was for the Warlord kills.
This is for the player who has killed the most warlords throughout the whole campaign.
And the winner is... Oh! I thought you were going to do
On
it.
you.
No.
And the winner is Alex. You were the only one that killed the most warlords. So congratulations. The next one?
The next one is Warmonger. So that is the player who has killed the most units.
And that goes to Ed, and you killed 13 units in the entire games. Congratulations. Well done to Ed.
It's a hand card as well.
Severed hand.
The next award is for Tactician.
So this is the army who claimed the most supply or secured the most critical areas.
Yes, correct. And that goes to you, Derek. You scored 5. So congratulations.
Thank
to
you very much.
Excellent. And then finally, we've got a title called Indomitable.
So Indomitable goes to the player who lost the fewest units throughout the entire campaign.
And the winner is Ed by only losing 6. Congratulations. Excellent work.
Thank you.
Well, you did roll really badly on your War of
I did,
Lies,
yes.
so it kind of worked. What I will do is I'll put
I don't
all
need
those-
prizes, it's fine.
I like prizes.
I do my job.
I'll put all of his scores at the bottom under the game, so you can have a look, because it's really interesting. You know, Imperial Fist, for example. You lost 10 units, which is crazy. Closely followed by the Space Force by losing 11. So it makes for really interesting reading. So I'll include them under the bottom. Gents, let's talk a little bit about your game. Should we start with the victors, maybe?
Yeah, start with the victors.
It started badly, went well in the middle, and then ended very badly. But thankfully, due to managing to take the last few wounds off units, we dragged the points to even.
Yeah. I mean, Alex, we saw an amazing display from the Grave Wardens. I think it was the second or third turn when they fired into the Space Force, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they've been pretty consistent every game, but 51 hits, I think, this time. It's just
58.
58 hits.
58 hits.
Actually
51
managed to
wounds.
drag down 7 of a Grey Slayer pack, which is just unheard of in one action.
So it's quite cool. And the Dorado, I think it did reasonable. It didn't quite shine, did it?
Nothing in my army this game shined. The Loyalists have learned to pin my Vorax back, and the Derodeo shuffled into some positions. Once it did open up, it caused some damage, and if anything, it was psychological that they stayed out of its way.
Yeah, very true, yeah.
It's that large blast plasma.
Yeah.
It's
And in
ridiculous.
zones, it's re-rolling, and
shredding
it's 8v2,
around.
it's just brutal.
Picking off those last 2 command Terminators at the end to drag me that point, I'll take that any day.
That was genius, that.
What won you the game?
Drew the game.
True.
Yeah, true, yeah. Very true. Derek, Ian, what do we got?
I've got my Speaker for the Dead. Left his unit and then decided to go murder an entire tactical squad by himself, which was quite pleased with.
Yeah, it was unpleasant.
It wasn't for me.
Medics that fight. I don't get it.
Yeah, your filler pain rolls were really, really good again, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's shocking how good they are. But
And I used 30k dice.
Yes, please. I've got loads left.
like, where is my Leviathan? Didn't actually kill anything. It managed to block off about 1,000 points worth of enemy units
Yeah.
just in that one corner.
Yep.
So that's definitely man of the match for.
And didn't get taken down by
Yeah,
another levy
absolutely.
and the Vorax.
Yeah. As
Like
he's being
3 rounds of
stopped
combat.
by 3 rounds of combat.
Blocked an entire corridor.
Yep, absolutely.
I was a little bit worried about the 2 Leviathans and the Dreader, I guess, to a point in Zone Mortalis. But in the end, I don't think they dominated. I think it was generally down to breaches and large tactical units like the Grey Slayers
Absolutely.
and the support squads from the Death Guard as well did really well, I think.
Terminators popping out of holes in the ground.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Those extra stratagems worked really, really well. And we saw the Fire Wasp come in and
Shout out to that Fire Wasp because killing 2 of those Terminators was brilliant.
Including the Sergeant.
Yeah.
He did get junked in combat, but it, but it was worth a charge.
Absolutely was.
3 points, eh?
90 points of Terminators to a Flamer.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I really loved it. I'm just really disappointed that the Fire Wasp isn't a flyer, can move 12. I think it'd be so much cooler if it could just navigate 12 inches. Yeah, it looks like it could do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great conversion by Derek. We've seen lots of photos of that, so it's really cool. Is there any words or any comments you'd like to make, gents, in general about the game and your campaign?
Well, firstly, thank you for your
channel hosting.
Letting us play on gorgeous boards.
My pleasure.
The battle for 139.
I think also a thank you to Derek for setting it up.
Yeah.
He's got us all together. He's got us painting the armies. And
thank you for sticking with it, because
it's been fun.
I can be vexing.
That's my line.
Boo to War of Lies.
Yeah. It's a good mission on the channel because it's a leveler, isn't it?
Yeah.
Play your heart out, but you can do you over in dice, which is what the game's all about, I guess. It's about dice. I think the campaign's really good. You guys have pushed so many units out in the last few months. It's really helped with motivation. And if you're at home, you've got a gaming club, and if you do like a little slow grow, like these guys have done, then I think it works
halfway
really well.
through the year now. We've got 2,000 point armies.
And this is Alex's first 2,000 point army completed ever.
Really?
And he's even got a few extra units he's painted up as well.
Yeah. So I've got just over 2,000 points worth of models.
Wow.
Been collecting since December. So.
That's really cool, eh? But also, I must thank these Forge guys that come down from Newcastle. I know every time you've come, you've set off really early. You've done a day's film, which is not easy. I think it's fair to say. And it's quite tiring. And then you've driven all the way back. And I know, Ed, you've done all the driving.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you rather to those guys for doing that. Now, I know you've got... so what you don't realise about this game is we filmed the last turn 5, on the second day. So we did all the pre-game and all the army shots up to turn 4 on the first day. I think we were here for about 10, 11 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
It was a long day for you guys. You obviously got up early. So you've probably done a 16-hour day yesterday. They went home or to hotel, had a good sleep, and then we've just filmed the last game turn. So, but now you've got some plans afoot, haven't you?
Yes.
What's your
Warhammer
plan?
World on the way home.
Oh,
New
yeah.
toys.
Open field games. Open field.
Which will make a big difference to Zone Mortalis. So
Yeah, I definitely think we need to get you back for a much larger game. We could do an 8x6 next time, maybe, to as you got. But what's your purchases on?
I'm looking at Sakarans because they're such a nice tank and a nice vehicle.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be getting myself a couple of Forge World Dozer Blades to go on my Iron Warrior Rhinos, and I'm going to be picking up some bits for the Sisters, because I've got a Sisters of Silence list in the pipeline.
Excellent. We love WYSIWYG, so you get those Dozer Blades on those Land Raiders as well. That's the tricky one.
Oh, yeah.
Arrgh. Ed.
I'm looking at definitely Kurz, because I've got to have the Primarch now, and maybe a Knight Porophon, because
just maybe might pick up a
maybe just
whopping Lord of War.
Yeah.
God.
Why not?
It's staying in mine, right?
No.
Alex, what are you going for?
Well, I'm going for named characters. So I was going for Mortarion, but you provided that for me at a small discount, which is fantastic.
My pleasure.
And then I'm also going to get Callus Typhon, I think, and just complete the big boys.
He's a great model, Callus.
They're
He's absolutely
lovely
awesome.
models.
Good. Well, hopefully, if you've watched this game, you may have seen them there. But to put those two together is quite difficult. But so maybe not. But fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed it. We've got a few shout-outs though, haven't we? We've got your gaming club.
Which is the Heaton Gaming Club in Newcastle. Meets on a Sunday. Heresy scene there now is quite strong, playing more Heresy than anything else.
Great.
And over the summer holidays, I'm probably going to be running this campaign for the club, if you fancy popping up and joining in.
Oh, nice. And I know you've acquired a Zone Mortalis board yourselves now, haven't you?
Yeah.
And if someone would like to paint it,
If someone will buy the paint for it.
It's not like someone's had 6-7 weeks off already.
Yeah, let's not forget, Derek injured himself, hurt his ankle.
Broken ankle.
And he came here on crutches last time, but you've soldiered through, so thank you for that.
Thank you for Ed putting up with me when my foot was on the console between them.
Oh, yes.
back down.
Smelly feet poking through.
It wasn't smelly on the way up. Way back, maybe.
And finally, if you would like to follow the progress of these gentlemen and their foray into Horus Heresy and their models, if you have any direct questions for them, where can we find you? So let's start with you, Ian.
Well, again, on Instagram, it's Praetorian130. And like I say, if you've got any questions regarding the army or anything, just give us a bell.
Great. Derek.
So again, on Instagram, D_rack. And if anybody wants the campaign setting, just send me an email through the website or send us a private message and I can send you the campaign pack straight away.
Oh, that's cool. Ed.
I'm Deathsane_Scar. You'll either see my Night Lords and my White Scars.
Great stuff. And if I can spell Alex's Instagram name correctly,
It would be nice.
I'll try without having to pull it down, re-edit it and re-upload it, but please.
So it's Zini84, and that's Zini with an X.
That's why I struggle.
You'll find all my Death Guard on there, and actually quite a lot of 40k stuff at the moment. So
Great stuff. I think it's really, really rare to find 4 gents that are passionate about heresy and have 4 really, really well-painted models. They are absolutely spectacular. So I urge you to follow them on Instagram and please question them if you have any questions for them. But you kind of get a couple of guys that are good and a couple of guys not so good. But it's really nice to have 4 amazingly painted armies on the table playing against each other. So amazing effort on your armies there.
Thank you.
One final thing to say is, again, thank you to these gents for doing what they've done. But also, if you fancy running a campaign on the channel and you can put up a reasonable campaign as good as these guys, then please get in contact with the channel. I'd love to host it for you. I have no doubt that we'll see these guys back in the future for hopefully some large-scale games, Sicarans and Primarchs maybe.
And Paraphons.
Oh my God, they're too good.
so I need to get a Mastodon today, yeah?
Yeah, that's a good idea, eh? Morty in a Mastodon supported by a load of Terminators and some Contemptors out the side.
Oh, Death Shroud and Grave Wardens and Morty. Oh, nope.
Sounds pretty good to me, like.
I'm going to note card that now.
Just have a Stormbird and you can't get shot by the Papharon.
The tactics.
It's a very expensive tactic.
Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing these gents back very, very soon, and we will see you in the next game.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Very much.
Thank you.